Rover is probably not only the coolest looking MC I've seen in any gacha yet, but they are also surprisingly strong. Rover is a sword-wielding Spectro DPS who can also be used as a buffing sub-DPS with a short rotation time within Quick-Swappy Teams. We will talk about their skills, their best weapons, echoes, and their best echo set, their best teams, their sequence nodes, and how to actually play them. Let's go! As always, you'll find the calculation sheet used below in the description for full transparency.
Small note, all calculations are based on my experience with the CBT2, and if a better rotation is discovered later on, I will update the sheet accordingly.
First up are their skills. Their basic attacks can be cast in sequence up to 4 times, however if you follow up with a basic attack right after the basic attack 3 or a heavy attack, they will cast instead heavy attack resonance upon pressing the basic attack button. If you hit a target with said heavy attack resonance or perform a dodge counter, you will directly follow up with heavy attack aftertune. An important note here is on how this wording is to be understood. It does say pressing basic attack after basic attack 3 will trigger it. This does not mean it is always triggered between basic 3 and 4. This wording is confusing, but basically if you wait for a short while after basic 3 and then press basic again, it will do so and this basic will be replaced by the heavy attack aftertune. It looks a little bit like this. Their skill is on a low 6-second cooldown, which deals an okay amount of damage. However, it heavily plays into how the fort works. I will get back to that a little bit later into the video as the fort circuit changes their skill significantly. With the usual cooldown of 20 seconds, their Resonance Liberation, Echoing Orchestra, which is their ultimate, costs 125 energy, deals a large amount of damage, generates 20 Concerto energy and freezes time for 2 seconds. This also applies to timers as far as I know, which can be significant during time-based challenges such as holograms or the Tower of Adversity. Their Fort Circuit, I will just refer to it as Fort from now on, allows them to charge up to 100 Fort energy, which they can spend 50 of to replace their Resonance skill when cast and deal damage to enemies nearby. You can follow this directly with a basic attack to perform resonating echoes instead, dealing further spectral damage. Their intro skill is nothing special and it deals damage. For the outro, you will generate an area of stasis surrounding the next character for 3 seconds. Their inherent skill, Their first passive increases the damage dealt by the second part of the fort by 60%, and their secondary skill, Silent Listener, increases their attack by 15% upon casting a heavy attack resonance. Knowing their skills, we can now get into their skill priority. Without spoiling too much, looking at the damage distribution, your skill priority is ultimate, into fort, into skill and basic attacks, and last their intro. For their echoes, going for crit damage on their forecost is the best choice, however crit rate is also okay, though you will lose just a little bit of DPS, around 3% to be exact. Double Spectro is the best in slot for both 3-cost echoes, however going for a mix of attack percent and spectral damage will only cost you around 0.6% DPS, and going double attack is a loss of around 3.9%. Which means don't sweat too much, however also keep in mind this is without any buffs, using Emerald of Genesis and all substats being exactly the same. Due to buffs such as attack percent from, for example, Verena, this will become a bigger gap, and the 5-piece Rejuvenating Glow, which most supports will run, will also grant another 30% attack to the entire team. Given that scenario, you can see the gap widening and double attack percent becoming more and more impactful. In the negative way. This is just an example. If you can go for the best in slot build, so do so. However, if you are not a sweaty gamer, using attack percent temporarily is also okay. Keep in mind having the 5-piece bonus from your set is way more important than elemental percent instead of attack percent. Speaking of which, you would definitely want the Celestial Light set, as you will kind of have a permanent uptime on these 40% spectral damage you gain from it. So
that's like the only set I actually would recommend here.
However, Rover also is able to be either played as a supportive secondary DPS using the Moonlit Clouds 5-piece set, which allows them to buff your main DPS with 22.5% attack, or when you obtain Node Sequence 4, as a support with the Rejuvenating Glow set, as her ultimate now allows you to heal and hence trigger the 5-piece set effect. For the substats, prioritize crit rate and crit damage, make sure you keep a good balance of the usual 1:2 ratio for crit rate and crit damage respectively. Then attack percent and skill damage percent, as her fort damage does count as resonance skill damage and otherwise liberation damage percent. Basic attack damage and energy regen are a little bit less useful, but we will get to that later. To the weapons! As we get a free 5-star weapon, I will use it as the baseline to compare against. And if you have watched my previous video, you probably already have selected the sword, which is great, cause that is without a doubt her best in slot. The 4-star selector weapon you get from the, well, 4-star selector for hitting the 5 million followers milestone is her second best choice. However, it is still 20% behind Emerald of Genesis. Otherwise, the gacha weapon Lunar Cutter, the battle pass weapon Looming Loss and the craftable weapon Sword 18 are also very close to it. If you are fine with another 10% less damage, Sword of Night is the best 3-star weapon you can choose, but refining it will not give you much of a boost. For the sequence nodes, you better get your wallet and credit card ready, cause going from S0 to S6 will grant you an astounding 21% more damage. Well, I guess that isn't that much, and also the wave bands are free and you obtain them by simply playing the game, hence you don't actually need to pay. Basically, it's a free 21% damage. Noteworthy here is Sequence 4, as it allows her to be played as a pseudo-sustain, and her Sequence 6 for shredding enemy spectral resistance by 10%, which would make her an okay supportive sub-DPS for another sub-DPS, if there would be another sub-DPS. It just doesn't exist yet, but who knows, maybe someone. So, knowing this, let's cover their rotation. While Rover technically can be played on field with longer rotations and you actually lose out on damage, and hence I do not recommend it, her best combo is Echo into ultimate, basic 1 heavy attack, double left click for the basic input for heavy attack resonance and aftertune, followed by your skill, which will now consume 50 fort to transform it into the fort skill, basic attack input again, then 3 times basic into heavy attack, and resonance into aftertune into swap out. This combo will perfectly allow you to gain 100 concerto while staying on the field between 6 to 7 seconds. I use a margin of error for my frame counts to account for either me being bad at counting frames or players not playing frame perfect, who would have thought. So,
however, you might not always be able to follow a perfect rotation. So, let's talk about it.
When you play Rover, you basically want to minimize your field time while trying to generate as much as concerto as possible for themselves. The most concerto is generated by their forts, so we want to focus on that. Heavy attack into resonance into aftertune is the most effective way for that. Given the short but still DPS heavy rotation, she is best played in a very Quick-Swappy team who can align with her 6-second on-field duration. Verena wants to enter the field every around 12 seconds, and Sanhua has 2 possible rotations, a short and a long one, taking 3 and 7 seconds respectively, though you can extend the latter to around 9 seconds. This means Sanhua, Verena and Rover form a formidable team and are relatively free-to-play friendly. Well, except Verena, I guess. So we can also replace her with Baizi or Jianjing. As there currently is no other Spectro main DPS, she is very hard to pair with any other resonators using her as sub-DPS. However, if you like Rover, play her in any team you like. It's a game you play for fun after all, and running double main DPS is fine, there's like nothing wrong about that. Yang Yang is also a possible substitute for Sanhua, as she provides the grouping against A or E content, which Rover not only lacks, but Rover's attacks, especially the aftertune, has a strong knockback. However, Jiang Jing also does that, and she is better at grouping, though Yang Yang does generate a lot more concerto with her aerial, which means more concerto swaps. Basically, it's a trade-off. And honestly, that wraps everything up. So I hope this video has been helpful and you now have a good understanding of how Rover functions and how they work and how they are played. If not, please leave a comment down there, feel free to ask questions, I'm happy to answer them, and I'm still looking for feedback because again I'm new to these kind of full all complete guys. So thank you for watching and have a great day. Peace.